something that's happening around us, something that is illegal: child labor. Now, here's today's big hard fact. According to International Labour Organization, ILO, 43% of Nigerian children are trapped in child labor. That's almost half of the children in this country, 43%. Now, the government has created law after law to ban child labor, but it still exists. Every year, more and more children are still getting into the labor force, still getting put into the labor force. These laws don't seem to have had any effect on child labor. President Obasanjo, I remember, signed the Child Rights Act into law in 2003. That law listed all the rights that children have, including the right not to work. But today, 17 years later, there are more children in the labor force than when Obasanjo signed the law. So one of the big questions I want to ask you, and I want you to help me address, is why? Why does child labor continue to thrive? What are the factors that encourage people to put children to labor, to put children to work? Why has government not put a stop to it yet? Is it a lack of ability? Is it a lack of will? What can be done to stop it? How can be discouraged? How can people be discouraged from creating or accepting child labor? How can this be done? Now, there's one type of child labor that is rapidly becoming an epidemic here in Lagos: begging. If you look around, you are bound to see children. In fact, even right now, while you're listening to me, there are probably children in traffic trying to wash your screen, knocking on your window, looking very sad, trying to ask you for money. What they are doing is labor. Yes. Begging is labor. Every day and every night, as you drive or walk down the streets of Lagos, you see little children, some of them as young as 4 or younger, walking from car to car in traffic. They're wearing rags. They have their hands out. They're begging for money. Whenever I pass the junction where Freedom Way meets the Lekki Expressway, I get so heartbroken. These are little kids. Little kids. It could be my sons. They're just hanging around the traffic. Just hanging around the traffic lights, waiting for the cars to stop so that they can beg. And whenever I watch them, I have my heart in my mouth because of how dangerous that situation is. First of all, there's the risk of them getting hit by a car. Sometimes I wonder how often it has happened. It wouldn't take much. They're children. Kids lose concentration all the time. One of them could just run into traffic at the exact moment a car is accelerating or its brakes are failing, and boom, it's all over. And the thought of it frightens me whenever I'm on that road. But that's not the only danger those children are living with. What about abuse? You have children in a very exposed environment. They're interacting on those streets with a wide range of adults. And the truth is, we don't know what's inside anybody's mind. Any of those adults on those streets could be a predator, ready to take advantage of those kids once there's an opportunity. The vulcanizers, the motorists, the traders, anybody. You and I in our fancy cars, anybody. And who's protecting these children meanwhile? Some of them will say, oh, children have handlers. They have the people around who will take care of them. They are busy watching, they will protect them. And every time some people say that, I say, can somebody who is ready to put a 4-year-old on the streets to beg strangers for money be expected to protect that child? After all, we've seen reports from aid agencies, from NGOs, from the government, that some of these handlers are either abusing the children themselves or collecting money from strangers to abuse them. And sure you know that the handlers do not let the children keep the money. So you have a situation where little children are being forced onto the streets by adults to beg. They are outside under the sun, under the rain, in the Hamatan dust, they're missing school. And they do this to get a few hundred naira in a day. But what happens when the day is over? The adults swoop in and the adults take the money from them. So we have children who are exploited, who are abused, who are betrayed, who are defrauded by the very adults who should be caring for them. And I ask, who else can protect them? The police? Have you ever heard about or seen a case where the police stepped in to take kids that were begging off the streets? Have you ever seen it? I have seen police officers at that same junction as the kids, and I don't see them taking them to safety. Instead, the police seem to have just accepted that children will be on the streets begging, just like all of us have accepted it. And again, it's back to that question, why? Seriously, why? I want to get into the why of it. Why are these children on the road begging to begin with? What made their parents or their guardians or whoever once had responsibility for them decide that this was okay? What do you do when the children come to beg you? 01277 0993, 01277 1993, 01277 2993, and 01277 3993. Why are these children begging to begin with? What made their parents or their guardians or whoever once had responsibility for them decide that this was okay? What do you do when the children come to you to beg? Hello. Good evening.
Hello, good afternoon, Sandra. Ezekwesili.
Thanks for calling me.
You see, it's sad because the usual excuse is that there's hunger in the land and this and that. But if my memory serves me right, Lagos State government enacted a law about 5 years ago, when Fashola was around. They said any child that was caught begging during school hours, the guardian or parent will be arrested. Hello?
Did it work?
Now, listen. See, they now devise their plan. So those people, the handlers of those children, they will now bring them in the morning, drop them at the bus stop, and go into the shadows. Do you understand?
Okay.
So you cannot come and trace, you cannot connect any adult to the child during the daytime. Then the night they come back and, like you said, they collect their returns. Sandra, if he was begging alone, it would have been good, but they also pimp out these children.
Yeah.
You know, as one that working in Lekki, there's one girl that every time she sells orange, she enter a particular compound. I won't come out in the evening. So people started asking, is she selling orange? Is she selling something else? Then we now found out a whole lot of story that somebody just offered her to buy the oranges per day. Because her mother said that she must not come back home without selling these oranges. Okay. We are sitting on a time bus. We are laughing because this is Lagos and all that.
And so can I ask you something, Emma? When the people found out that somebody offered to buy her whole orange for, I'm guessing an exchange of sexual favors?
Yes.
Okay. When people found out, what did they do?
They reported to the police. What is it called? At Oniru there.
Okay.
They reported, but you know as it is now, only Diego can get before you know it, the person dropped money, and that was the end of the case.
And this is something that actually happened.
I'm telling you, Admiralty, Nepa bus stop. Anybody knows Admiralty? If I don't want to make some, it's not they told me, I am telling you. Nepa bus stop and Admiralty there. We reported it to Oniru police station here. It's not they told me, I was there.
Okay.
Do you understand? So these things happen. So I think the government should, sometimes they are clamping down all this Okada, they should also clamp down all this thing because those children will be weaponized. Now you're afraid to even open your, wind down your screen because they don't know if they are even armed robbers. Some of them have been weaponized. Do you understand? They don't attempt for anything. So I think the state government should, with the same energy that pursuing other policies, should also pursue this one too.
Thanks for calling me, MI. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Sandra.
Good evening to you. What's your name?
My name is Alfred. I'm calling from Lekki.
Alfred, why are these children on the road begging to begin with?
Sandra, as a matter of fact, it's like we in Nigeria, we don't know the value of children.
Okay.
And the secondary is the poverty. I don't know how to put it, but
job is insufficient to us, to the people that have to take care of their children.
Okay.
That is why they are leaving their children to feed themselves. If you are jobless, you are hopeless, you don't have any attempt to feed your children or take care of your children. If you ask people that are living, you are talking about that they are hanging around the bus stop to beg. They will tell you that there's money I never eat. That's why I'm looking for something to do. What is the meaning of that? Is it because their parents don't have the need to take care of them? That's why they are taking care of themselves. Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So it's my first time to call. I am always trying to reach you, but the number is not quite reaching you. So can you give me just a few minutes to talk about something that has passed?
Well, it's past, so no, unfortunately. But thank you for calling us today. I appreciate it. You can call us again some other time. Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. What's your name?
Yeah, Sandra. I'm Sylvester calling from Sandra.
Mr. Sylvester.
Mr. Sylvester.
Mr. Sylvester. Now, what do you think made the parents of these children or their guardians or whoever is responsible for them decide that begging was okay?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things well, if you say it's parent, then I can look at it from religious factor.
Okay.
Then religious factor being that if you check, if you like, if you're a journalist, a broadcaster.
Okay.
So if a journalist, let me say, an undercover journalist can make a research.
Okay.
And most often I discover that their research is more accurate and they give you the facts on ground.
Okay.
We discover that out of 20, what religion they belong to. Then, hello?
Okay, I'm listening.
Found out, then we can get that from indices from that.
Okay.
Then secondly, you see, when you take of hostility, the hostility that we have in the country, see the dimension where it flows. And where it is very, very deep on it. It's so tremendous, so traumatic. We look at the part of Nigeria that it happens.
Okay.
And we see, when it happens, we see what they can easily attribute religion to it. And once that comes up, the effect, the spillover effect, would lead to extreme poverty. And those who manage to survive by the grace of God, they will not have option than to even send their parents to go and beg. Their children to go and beg for them, beg. And once the children, whatever their children bring in, they eat from there and share with their children.
My goodness, Mrs. Sylvester, thank you so much for calling to share your thoughts on the matter. Hello.
Hello, Sandra.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
What's your name?
Mr. Darlington.
Mr. Darlington, welcome.
Good. You are asking why parents do this thing.
Yes, why?
The number one reason is illiteracy.
Okay.
The number two reason is culture. Then poverty comes third. If you remove the first two, the third one can be taken care of. It's as simple as that.
What's the third one?
I said the third one is poverty.
Ah,
I said illiteracy, culture, and poverty.
I see.
These are the reasons. If you remove the first two, then the poverty that propped up this type of business will die. So, how many big men did you see their children begging? How many? Is it possible? It can never be. Unfortunately, these people did not even know that because they have an advantage, they are educated, they can afford 3 square meals, the country has given them opportunity. Instead of them to use it and make laws that will eradicate this poverty and begging, rather they want to perpetuate it so that they can be using these people, not knowing that these people will turn around, like what is going on in the Northeast today. A law was to be passed to eradicate begging. Some people said no, it is their culture. Sandra, some people said it is their culture, nobody should go there. So how will you solve such a problem? When educated men, lawmakers, told you that the begging and the child marriage is their culture, how will you solve such a problem?
Good question. We've got Ayo on WhatsApp who says children begging are usually people migrated from their original residence to beg in Lagos. The government should arrest them, take them to orphan homes. If not, it will be a big problem for Lagos. Is that the answer? Arrest them? Is that the answer? We have somebody who says, Sandra, if you want to know why children are begging, ask the likes of Dogawa, who came to National Assembly with 4 wives and boasted of 27 children, and even said that he is still caring for children left behind by his late father. Sunday in Lekki says, I wonder what the relationship is, but okay. Tony Haven on Facebook says, that was WhatsApp, by the way. I took those messages from WhatsApp. If you want to send us WhatsApp messages, go ahead. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. 080-959-75805. And yes, you can share your thoughts via Facebook as well. Facebook, Tony Haven says, Sandra, it's more than child labor. They use them for business. One of the kids insulted me because I did not give him money, and Lagos government needs to find a way to tackle this. The place you mentioned, Atikate Freedom Way, is the worst. All right, Tony, thanks for your insight. If you just joined us, good evening to you. On today's show, I am discussing child labor. And I told you that the International Labour Organization says that 43% of Nigerian children are trapped in child labor. Right now, I'm talking about the first type of child labor, begging. And yes, begging is labor. Every day, every night, as you drive or you walk down the streets of Lagos, you see children begging. And the question is why? 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 Why are these children on the road begging to begin with? What made their parents or guardians or whoever once had responsibility for them decide that this was okay? When they come to you to beg, what do you do? Now, I want us to have a very nuanced conversation because there are no easy answers. And here's what I mean when I say that. Take the begging issue. Take this begging issue. The simple answer would seem to be, oh, government needs to step in. Somebody even said, arrest them, take them to orphanage houses. You know, so for some people, the easy answer is government should step in, take these children off the streets. Yes, I agree. Very true. But the next question is, where will government keep them? How many orphanage homes do we have? Are they enough to take these children in? If government sends them back to their parents, for instance, they will just end up back on the streets. Look at MI, who called in to share with us that during Fashila's time, there was a law that said if, these children are caught begging, their parents will suffer for it. And so the parents just found an ingenious way to get them to do it and get away with it. If we say instead of sending them back to their children, government should keep them, we now have to ask whether government has the facilities to house them. In foreign countries, when government steps in and takes children away from their families because of neglect or abuse, they have an entire system for taking care of the child. In places like America, for instance, there is the foster system. Now, the foster system is not perfect. There are lots of stories of abuses and all of that, but at least there is the foster system. The local government and state government run homes for children. They also pay NGOs to run private foster homes. Those homes can house a lot of children, sometimes up to 24. And then, apart from those, you have individuals and married couples who will take some of these children into their homes as foster parents. The government gives them money for the child's food and the child's clothing, as well as medical care. And that's why these governments abroad can take kids off the streets with their chest. They know that they have a system to take care of the kids. It may not be the best system in the world, but at least it keeps them fed and it keeps them clothed. If the Nigerian police takes these children that are begging off the streets, where will the government put them? Does the Lagos state government or the local government councils run orphanage homes or foster homes? How much money is the government willing to pay private orphanages and foster homes to take care of children it takes off the streets? These are the tough questions that we must ask. And this is not only about street begging. In any situation where children are enduring child labor, as long as government doesn't have the resources to take care of those kids, if it takes them from their guardians, government is powerless. So some people would say that this is yet another example of a way in which government is failing Nigerians, especially children. Government is having to leave Nigerian children in terrible, abusive situations simply because government has failed. Year after year to invest in childcare facilities. Government has also failed to grow its revenues so that it is able to pay private organizations and families to take care of the children that it cannot. So that's the case. Does it then matter that government has passed so many laws to protect children? Do laws matter if it cannot be enforced? What's the point of a fashola saying, oh, children should not do this, if it cannot be enforced? Because if government finds out that a man is abusing his children today and wants to arrest that man and jail that man, do you know what ends up happening? Those children are now on the street because the breadwinner, their abuser, is in jail and government cannot pick up the slack. So it looks like as a society, we are failing these children from all angles. So again, what are your thoughts? What's the solution here? What gives? What can we do? Because you and I are government. Yes, we're not holding political offices, but government is what? 01277 0993, 01277 1993, 01277 2993, and 01277 3993. Share your thoughts with me on the show. Hello.
Hello, Sandra. Good evening.
Good evening. What's your name, sir?
My name is Peter Mons from Shomolu.
Welcome, Peter.
Yeah, Sandra, there is no smoke without fire.
Okay.
For me, I want to say that the whole ball stopped on the table of the government. Sandra, let me give you a scenario. This K2 market that you get to police station, and that market was like fruit market. And it comes down to where you enter Moto to Mowe and the rest of it. Do you know that the government of Lagos State has driven away the women and their daughters that were selling fruit in that market? Now, tell me, those children that those mothers were selling those things to send them to school, at least buy food for them if the government is paying for their education. Buy food for them, take care of them. The mothers are no longer there selling in that market. Then tell me, how would the mother feed? How would these children feed? Forcefully, the mother would get these children on the street. So that is why I said the bus stop on the government's table. Let me tell you that when they were talking about this, give them small money, government money, 10,000, and then feed children in the school. Sandra, I objected to that. And for me, I believe the first and the best solution to this is to get their parents gainfully employed. When I say employed, not white-collar job here. Okay. Provide the enabling environment structurally and facility that they need to get their businesses move forward.
Okay.
Sandra, finally, let me let you know that I know of a lot of people that were selling this sachet water, bottled water, and send their children to school with that. And today you go to the bus stops, they are not. The council don't allow them to sell. In my presence, they caught one woman. I wanted to go somewhere. Then I waited. I brought out my camera to snap, and the man came to attack me and asked me, "What am I snapping? That he must see my phone." I said, "You will not see my phone," because I wanted to make a report on that at Palm Group bus stop here.
Okay.
It's just because of the work I was going to. I was almost late.
Okay.
That was how I left him. What am I trying to say here? Sandra, you see that the council, the police, all other government agencies have made life so difficult for parents and families that they have no option. They say instead of me to steal, instead of me to go and do prostitution, let these children go and beg. And remotely I will beg as well. So let the government stand up or rise up to their responsibilities. This incident will be minimized. Thank you.
Thank you for calling to share your thoughts. Lawani George on WhatsApp says, "Good evening, Sandra Ezekwesili. The problems facing our society for children begging is as a result of lack of family planning. Some people give birth to children without knowing how they will cater for those children. You don't have a job and you're married to 3 or 4 wives. Why? Lawani George. Important point that Lawani George has raised there. Some of us, after marriage, we just assume that the next thing is children. And we don't know that it is actually okay to wait. It's actually okay to plan properly before you start to bring in children to the world to suffer. I had almost a 4-week episode on the glass ceiling about this particular matter, the pressure on couples to have children. And children are a huge responsibility. Before you have them, you need to write a plan. You need to draw up a plan. It's not something that you just do because, you don't marry. The next thing not to born. No. It's a serious, serious, serious responsibility, serious decision that you have to think seriously about before you embark upon. But that's not the conversation we're having today. I just felt like I needed to make that point. It's 29 minutes past 5. You're listening to Sandra Ezekwesili on Hard Facts. This is 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let me take your calls and your Facebook messages next.
Hard Facts will be right back. Welcome back to Hard Facts.
On the show today, we're talking about a particular type of child labor. I've told you what some of the remedies can be, but in Nigeria, it's not that straightforward. I told you what happens in other climes where if government says we're going to step in, we're going to keep these children off the streets, they actually have a place where they keep them. In places like America, in the UK, the local government and the state governments run homes for children. They pay NGOs to run private foster homes. And they also pay regular parents like you and I to take in these children. They give them money for the child's food, for the child's clothes, for the child's medical care, and that's why these governments abroad can take these children off the streets with their chest, because they know that they have a system to take care of the children. Yes, you're going to say, oh no, they're also rife, there's stories of abuses happening with these children. Some of these people are taking in as many children as they can and they're not really taking care of them. Yes, that may be. But at least they're doing something. At least these children are chopping food and they're wearing clothes. And they're not under the sun and in the rain, getting beat up, being exposed to all kinds of dangers. If we say the Nigerian police has to do something, get these kids off the streets, where will the government put the children? Does the Lagos state government or the local government councils run orphanages? Do they run foster homes? Do you know? I don't know. How much money is the government willing to pay private orphanages or foster homes to take care of children that it takes off the streets? These are tough questions that we have to ask because we are all concerned about these children on our streets begging. We all are. Now we need to solve the problem. But how do we solve the problem? Send me a message on Facebook. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. On Facebook, I have Mayor from Ajah who says, Sandra, these children begging are the militia and hoodlums of tomorrow, as the government and religious leaders have encouraged mindless population explosion without regulation, education, and provisions. By 2050, we would have doubled 200 million. That is a danger. God is not a giver of children. Religion feeds our ignorance, and these uncatered children will be our nightmare tomorrow. The Chibok girls that gave birth in 2015 have their children now at 5 years. Child soldiers start from 7 to 8. Soon, some of these children could become suicide bombers. If we don't start a policy that enables us to cut down on the number of children we're having, we could be in trouble, Mayor says. Mayor, thank you for sending your message across. Hello.
Hello, Sandra.
Thanks for calling me. What's your name?
My name is Tosi from Aghogho.
Welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to say that
Oh, that's quite unfortunate, but thanks for calling me. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. What's your name, sir?
My name is Stephen, calling from Alagbado.
Go ahead, Stephen.
It's a very painful thing when we talk about children begging on the street. But another thing I want us to
turn your radio off. Turn your radio off. Go ahead.
Okay. Another thing I want us to consider is this. Are you with me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, if we have to consider these children begging on the street, we should also take note of some aspect as a result of what is really behind these beggars. Like around Lekki Phase 1, you see some beggars begging, and if you take a very close look at those children, you see their parents at one corner sitting down. So for every time they beg, they go there to remit the money.
Yeah, but that's part of the problem. If a parent is doing that, that's a parent that shouldn't have their child.
For me, I will want, instead of us facing the government or whatever, let us first of all look at the missionaries, like the religious houses.
Okay.
If they can be of help, at least, to my own belief,
okay,
religious houses should be open for anybody who wants to come.
No, but here's the thing. Religion did that when there were no governments. So in early colonization days, there were no actual governments. So religion could step in for things like that. Now we have an actual government whose job it is to protect these children. So should we be looking at religious outfits? Should we be relegating government and, giving their responsibilities over to religious outfits?
Now, when we talk about the government and the religious houses, that is for the Western world, not in this country called Nigeria.
Nigeria still has a government. And it has a sovereign government.
But our government is not even in any way paying attention to that part. As a matter of fact, right there in my area, Alagbado, you will see children who are supposed to be in school, hawking pure water or whatever on the road, And this same local government council will be giving them tickets.
Okay, well, let me go to WhatsApp where we have Amina who says majority of these children are from the north. You see a woman beggar with 3 or 4 children, somebody that cannot feed herself. What is she doing with 4 children? Secondly, the role of government, especially the so-called task forces who will not allow somebody to hustle in peace, always attacking people trying to sell petty things to make ends meet. You cannot sell here. You cannot sell here. In fact, living in Nigeria is not only hellish, but quite sad. All right, Amina, thank you for lumping those two issues together. Good evening, Sandra, Ezekwesili. Good topic. It's so unfortunate that government is not taking this issue of child begging seriously. Government can stop this if it wishes. Sandra, do you know that their parents will send them out in the morning, collect the proceeds of their begging later in the evening? I noticed this in particular in this country. Government needs to arise and stop this. Yes, I agree with you, but how exactly will they stop it? The best thing for government to do will be to take these children away from their parents. Now, if they take these children away from their parents, where will they put the children? Because here's the thing. If they sanction the parents, right? And say, for instance, take the parents to jail or something, the children still need to find a way to feed. So they're back on the streets begging anyway. Right? And if they give a warning, just a warning to the parent and say, okay, keep your child, the parents will just change location and go somewhere else to beg with their child. So the answer in most other climes is to take the children away from the parents. But can the Nigerian government afford to do that? Do you think that they can afford to do that? And if they cannot, what then is the solution to Lagos's child begging problem? Because this is a huge problem. Hello.
Finally.
Welcome.
President Sandra.
Mr. Christopher.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Somewhere in Adelo Deku junction there, you know where you have the last mile stand. I see those beggars and their children. Some are even nursing babies. Who are the men that put these people into that family? Where are they? Then you go to Lekki roundabout, you know, through this Ikoyi bridge. You will see those ones with wheelchair. President Sandra, as late as 12 midnight, 1 a.m., those guys are still there. Last month, or I think early January or towards Christmas, I see some task force vehicles packing those guys into their truck. President Sandra, I said within 2 weeks, those guys are back. Then you come to Freedom Way here, you see them. And those women, you cannot say, oh, this is what is wrong with these women, why they are doing. No. I saw one with about 2-3 months old baby. This one just gave birth. Who is the man who did this with this woman? Where is the man? Somewhere along Araba Azuru, I see some of them with these rolling chairs, about 8 of them. They gather at one spot that early morning. Then I stopped. I said, Alaji, that car that dropped you now, where did you pick that car from? He said, Oga, he go bring us for night, he go come and carry us. I'm telling you, on that car, I spotted that car, he dropped those guys and he drove off. And I stopped, walk up to one of them. Did you charter this car from wherever you are coming from? He said, no. Nama Oga, I go close, can't carry me, I go give her money. So I don't know why people are saying it's culture. Which people would adopt such culture to beg? I don't know why these people, the men particularly, because those women are not doing those things to themselves. They should look for all those women. Get your husband, whoever put you in this family, get that man. Then you need to deal with that man. Then everybody will sit up.
Okay, Christopher, thanks for calling to share your thoughts. We've got this person, Kazim from Badagry, who says, most of these parents were brought up in the same way. But that is no way to live in a civilized society, Kazim. That you were brought up in one way doesn't mean that that is the way that should continue. Especially if we say that Lagos is a mega city that other cities should be learning from. No plan for anybody. Kingsley Benibol from Ajah says, government is not serious. For the beggar's mind, they be like, shey, this woman no go mind her business. So funny, they are in one corner breastfeeding another upcoming beggar. This is a message from Godwin in Lagos. We have Charles in Ikoyi who says, "Hi Sandra, my small research reveals that most of the children begging on the road were brought in by adults, not necessarily their parents, to make money. They give these children a place to stay while they expect some daily returns in form of targets from these children. This became worse with the insurgency in the north. Unfortunately, nothing is being done to address the hatching system. The Almajiri system must be abolished and birth control should be put in place, especially in the north." All right, Charles, thank you so much for sending that message across. We have this one that says our government should put a law that forbids marrying more than one wife. Okay, well, there are no answers, are there? We're just throwing ideas around. Abayomi says the cause of street begging is both cultural and religious in some cases. How do you explain a man with no proper education and job with 4 wives and 20 children? The government should do the needful. Ban street begging, address the root causes through education and legislation. All right, Abayomi, good evening. Thanks for sending your message across. Because here's the thing, when some Nigerians have more children that they can take care of, what begins to happen is either they give them to guardians who put them on the road to hawk or beg, or they, parents themselves, take them themselves out into the streets to go and beg, or they're all just laying around in the house doing nothing and hoping for the best. So yes, there's a huge conversation to be had about, what's it called now? Birth control and, child planning. There's a huge conversation to be had about that, And then there's also a huge conversation to be had about the consequences of having these children in our streets begging. I don't care about the adults who are begging, but these children, they have no business being on these roads at the insane hours that they are there. As you're listening to me, you're probably watching a few of them coming to your window to try and wash it, or begging you while you're trying to drive. And these children look underfed, they look malnourished, they're wearing dirty clothes. And that is not any way to raise the leaders of tomorrow. So how do we get the government to do something actively? Lagos has laws. The federal government has laws. I told you that Obasanjo signed the Child Rights Bill as Child Rights Act as far back as 2003. 2003. And 17 years later, we're still talking about children in the streets. In fact, we have more children begging today than were begging in 2003. And it's for a multitude of factors. But how do we solve this particular problem? 012770993, 012771993, 012772993, and 012773993. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for calling.
Hello. Sandra, good evening.
Good evening.
How's work?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Sandra.
Welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you. About the issue of that street begging, I only want to comment something on that issue.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, I'm from North.
Okay.
I'm going to say I'm not Hausa, but most of those people that you see are begging. It's not about condition or they are going through some condition.
Okay.
Just that they make it as a business. It's very annoying. I myself, there was a time I snapped their picture. I snapped them picture and I post their picture to our people so that they should know what is happening here in Lagos. As I comment Lagos people for seeing these people and they read them here because if you say in our place, that cannot happen. Majority of them you see now, they have money. They have they are making it as a business. Not that they are because they are going from
Oh, your line is breaking up. I don't know what's happening. So a lot of things you just said now, we didn't hear.
Okay. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh, quite unfortunate. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, this is better. This is better.
So majority of them, they are from Kano,
Okay.
KB, and Katsina.
Okay.
Most of them, they are here for business. Anytime you see most of them, sometimes they find this like a kekena bed and the bike. They are buying some bikes and sending it to their house or to their family.
Okay.
They are making money. And not that because they are going through conditions. If I would tell Lagos State advice. I would give them advice. I want them to send them, all of them, back to their place. There was a time I snapped a picture to their picture. I sent it through Facebook. And I'm telling my elders, see what our people are doing here.
But is that the answer, to send them back to their original states? I mean, that's discriminatory, isn't it?
No. You know what? One thing is you can't understand that it's discrimination. As long as they are doing this thing, they are increasing. Some of them, as you see them, they are not. It's not their children. It's not their children. They are just collecting children from some of their neighbors to come and make a business. You see all those women, you can sit aside and you send to some of their children to go and beg money. No matter how much they give them that money, you go and give them. So they are doing something like what they call adashi.
But you said that in your place, this kind of thing doesn't happen. How did you make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen?
Of course, it doesn't happen now. I'm from Adamawa State.
Okay. How come it doesn't happen in Adamawa State?
Never. To see people like this don't gather. If you see a person like this in Adamawa, maybe they came like maybe blind person.
Okay.
Okay, like blind person. Mostly some of them usually come and beg.
Why doesn't it happen in Adamawa?
Because we know their secrets.
We
know their secret. We know where they come from. We know what they're traditionally doing. So sometimes if they came to us, we usually used to ask them some sort of question.
Okay.
Why are you people doing all this, this and that?
Okay.
So they will feel ashamed sometimes to not be able to come. So and you see, coming here to Lagos, how can you come 10,000 naira, 11,000 from somewhere to come to Lagos and beg? Is it good? If you have this kind of money, some people like me, my grandmother, my grandfather, she's about something else. She's going farm to go and be a farm and come back to her. So you can see somebody like from those Hausa people. Somebody is very strong person, supposed to go and farm or do something. They will not go and do. I myself am from North, but that is very annoying. Whenever I saw them, it's very painful for me. I used to tell some of my colleagues, that's what we used to normally used to discuss here with them. The issue that they are banding Okada, all these things, is our fault. We are to blame. And I blame our leaders, our elders, our northern elders for doing all this. Because the only man I respect maybe is that Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi. Is the only man that can come out and talk about, say something about all this, against all this street begging and all this. Very, I mean, I don't see Igbo man. I don't used to see Igbo man here. Yoruba man, nobody, only Hausa. There was a time when one man called me. He said, see your people to the big Alaro. They're not my people. I tell you, they're not my people. They're Hausa. We have different languages here in North. So they call us North. All of us North. All of us North. People have to understand all this. Not all of us are Hausa. Because in our place, you cannot see some bigger. It's the indigenous of Adamawa. Nobody in Adamawa you can tell the bigger. No.
All right, thank you for calling me to share your thoughts on the show. But aside asking the people who have come in search of greener pastures to go back to where they came from, what are some solutions that we can implement? What are some workable solutions? We have this person who says that all right, everybody's talking about people marrying too many wives and having too many children. Okay. Sandra, my question is, what are the leaders doing about this calamity? Our leaders travel abroad every month. Do they see any beggars on the road, and whose person's job it is to take those children out of the road? Sandra, thank you so much for bringing up this issue. Well, there are beggars abroad, at least in New York. I remember first time I was in New York and I was on a train and somebody came to beg me on the train and I was quite stunned. I was like, what? The America? Somebody is begging me on the train? And, knelt down the way that we do here. Knelt down, God will bless you, in an American accent. God will bless you. God's going to provide for you and your family. I didn't know what to do with myself. It was quite shocking. It was quite a culture shock. I didn't expect that on a train, in the subway, in New York, of all places. But it happened, So there are beggars everywhere in the world, but it's not as endemic as what you would find typically in a place like Lagos. And you definitely not see so many children doing it at so many different parts of Lagos, where there are so many men and women of different law enforcement agencies, and they're just looking away and, acting like this is not happening. It's not a part of their life. If this was happening in most parts of the world, there would be outcry, there will be outrage until government steps up and does something. So why are we not more outraged by the number of children out there begging? If we say it's a business, it's an illegal business. It should not be happening. Children should not be out raising money for any reason whatsoever. For no reason should children be out raising money for anybody. So it's a business, okay, but it's illegal. And what are we doing? How disgusted are we by this thing? And what have we done? What can we do to get it to stop? Because everybody's told me, it's because too many people have children. Everybody's told me, it's because there's no family planning. Everybody's told me it's because, government is not doing enough. Government is not paying attention. How do we get government to pay attention to this particular problem? Because it's children. These are children. They're facing all kinds of things out there. Children. They could be your children. How do we get government to sit up and do something? What can government do? If you could advise the government to do something, what would your advice be? Hello, good evening. 99.3.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Welcome. What's your name?
My name is Said.
Said, welcome. Go ahead.
You have already made the point that begging is almost everywhere in the world. But it's not as much as in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Nigeria, you cannot find it the way you find it here in Lagos, Abuja, and Kaduna. The reason why is that the distance between the rich and the poor, they have already looted the money of the country. Nobody has the money, only them. So these beggars, these vulnerable ones, they are following them anywhere they are. For example, even here in Lagos, you can't find beggars where you will find them like in VI.
Oh, that's quite unfortunate. What happened with Said? Call me back if you can. Well, we're out of time, so you can't even call me back. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. You're speaking with Mohammed Hassan.
Mohammed, welcome.
Yeah. According to what the last caller said about beggars, that in Adamawa you cannot find them, I don't think it's right.
Okay.
And getting them back to their place, to their originality, it doesn't make sense for me. They have no choice to do it. And as they said, no mother can carry her child and throw him in the fire.
But when they are telling those children to go and beg, they actually are throwing the child into the fire.
Yes, they are actually, but they have no choice. They left.
They have a choice, actually. The choice is to not get your children to beg.
Okay, hold on. The choice, let me put it that way.
Okay.
Let us say all the country, all over, there's education is free.
Okay.
Like public school, they are free. Who would like a child to not go to school? They will let the children go to school. And let me put it this way. I was one Okada rider, and I was once a Marwa rider. I just left Marwa driving for 6 months ago.
Okay.
I started driving car with a company, and now they stop Marwa. I have a friend of mine that I'm advising him, learn how to drive car. The man has a different skill, plenty skill.
Okay.
The guy, now he's left. Only Marwa, that is what he knows how to do. He has a wife with 2 kids, and now he left with no job in Lagos here. He's searching for security job. Does that make sense? So this kind of guy, if he can go and beg to survive, like he has no any option only to beg.
He himself, the adult, not his child. That's my point. There's no excuse for putting your children out there to go and beg. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I wish we had more time to continue this conversation, but it's a conversation we'll come back to because there are so many aspects of child labor that I need you and I to talk about. So let's talk about it on some other day. Thanks for being a part of Hard Facts today. We've talked child labor. Coming up is conversations with Rufai on the other side of 6 o'clock. On Checkpoint, we talked about Operation Safe Corridor. On the big three, I brought you a Lagosian who's using a bus to help school children affected by the keke restriction. I also told you that experts have asked companies to let their staff come to work later or work from home because of the Okada restriction. And I told you that a failure to install equipment affected international flights into Lagos for days. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. Talk to me online, Sandra Ezekwesili, on all of my social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And until tomorrow at 3:15, those were your hard facts, Lagos. Good night.
Hard facts will be right back.